Namaste and a warm welcome to you all on behalf of the Viyatra team of Rakesh Pathak, Nitin Utreja, and myself, Saurabh Mishra, to our unique In Buddha's Footsteps Viyatra experience. Before we start our journey, I'd like to invite Reverend Ito to please do a chant and invoke the Buddha's blessings for us all. Ito-san.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang sharanam gacchami. Dhammam sharanam gacchami. Sangam sharanam gacchami. Dutiyampi buddham sharanam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam sharanam gacchami. Dutiyampi sangam sharanam gacchami. Tatiyampi buddham sharanam gacchami. Tatiyampi buddham sharanam gacchami. Tatiyampi sangam sharanam gacchami. Sabba papassa akaranam kusarassa upasampada sacitta pariyoda panam etam buddhana sasanam.
How wonderful. We take refuge in the Buddha, we take refuge in the Sangha, we take refuge in the Dhamma. Thank you very much, Ito-san. Thank you very much, Reverend Ito. I'd like to also introduce Markus Ji, the founder and CEO of ASAHI Travel Services, our exclusive partner in Japan. Markus Ji will in fact be delivering the commentary along with myself in Japanese. Markus Ji, could you please welcome the audience and instruct our Japanese audience on how to access the Japanese interpretation room?
Thank you very much, Saurabh. 皆さんどうもこんにちは。ナマステ。今日はまたこれに参加してくれて本当にありがとうございます。サラブさんはメルボルンからです。この V ヤトラというところは今日手配をしています。この前も私たちは2、3回やりました。今日はサラブジはコーディネートして、私は日本語の通訳の仕事をやりますので、日本語の場合は皆さんはここインタープレテーションのところがありますので、そこを押してくれたら私だけの声は聞こえます。両方聞こえるときは両方は聞こえますので、後でチャットのところのそれを書いてますので、チャットのところにそれを見てください。それで通訳のところをコネクションしたら日本語に聞こえます。英語で聞きたかったら英語でも聞けますので、ぜひいろいろ見てください。I can see、大勢の皆さんも今私確認しています。We have Mr. Malik先生。それからとても大事パドマニさん from tourist India tourism is also there. She is also watching. Please, Saurabh-san.
Thank you. どうもありがとうございます、Markus-san. I'd also like to introduce Anuja, who is our event director and who will help me run this presentation. Namaste, Anuja. Welcome. And thank you in advance for your help.
アヌジャさんですね。彼女は今デリにおります。デリから直接これをコントロールしています。I can see that Siddharth Singh ji from embassy also joined us. So, Saurabh ji, please make a note of these people.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, we appreciate the support. We appreciate all our audience. This is a real heartfelt offering from us, the team of Viyatra. And I appreciate that there are actually many different kinds of people we have in the audience today. We have people from Buddhist monasteries, from Buddhist centers. We have people from schools as well who are looking at this as a possibility of offering this as a history lesson. So for school children. So plenty of I think very interesting attributes with today's Viyatra. So
今日は
um,
皆さんはこれ見てますと、いろいろところから今日は参加しています。特にいろいろ仏教関係の教会も入っています。お寺さんも入っています。それ以外に学校とかそちらからもみんな、これ歴史的なところもありますので、インドの歴史とか仏教を習うためにはとても大事なチャンスです。いろんな方々は今日参加しているので、本当に嬉しいです。ありがとうございます。
So Anuja, I think if you can turn on the interpretation room and have Markus G as the interpreter, I'll proceed with our description meanwhile.
Am I in interpreter room now?
Not yet. If not, I can do it.
Now, 私は通訳の部屋から直接通訳するようになりますので、多分直接私の声は聞こえなくなります。その時は手だけを挙げてください。私の日本語は聞こえてますかということで確認しますので。これは今見えますか皆さんに日本語のところ。
Good. I think we have it running now. So Markus G is now in the interpreter room. Anybody who wants to hear the commentary in Japanese can click on the Japanese link and hear that. So our In Buddha's Footsteps Viyatra features journeys of places that the Buddha actually himself recommended that his followers visit. Anuja is about to share a map. Thank you, Anuja. So what you can see there is some of these places that we actually do feature in our Viyatra journeys. So you can see Lumbini up there, the third triangle there, yes. And Lumbini is obviously the birthplace of the Buddha. He was called Siddhartha. He was born to an aristocratic family of the Shakya clan. Now the dates of his birth vary, estimates vary amongst historians, but generally about 2,500 years ago is a good rule of thumb. And Kapilvastu, which you can see next to that, is where he grew up. That's where his father was the king. He grew up in unparalleled luxury. I don't think very many human beings have had the sort of upbringing that he had for very peculiar reasons. But at the age of 29, he left all that. He left his wife, he left his son, he left that entire life of luxury, and he set out in a quest to find the causes of human suffering and the cure of that human suffering. For 6 years, he wandered throughout basically a circle of what you see in there, and famously got to Bodh Gaya. He practiced intense practices, intense penance. He got to Bodh Gaya, where there was a particular experience he had, which we'll describe, I think, a little bit more through this Viyatra, which made him realize that he was probably walking down the wrong path, and that there was a middle path that was actually a simpler path for him to walk. And no sooner had he made that determination that literally overnight he attained what he was looking for, which is that experience of enlightenment. So that's Bodh Gaya, and it's certainly a place that we feature in our Viyatra journeys. He then traveled to Sarnath, which is the triangle in blue that you can see, which is really our destination for today. So what we do with Viyatra is we focus on each place in turn. And in Sarnath, he gave the first teaching of his middle path, of what he'd actually discovered. And then for the next 50 years, and you know how remarkable that is, how wonderful it is for humanity, that for the next 50 years, he wandered that same Indo-Gangetic plain in northern India, and he taught to perhaps I'm guessing hundreds of thousands of people. He spent a lot of time in two places, particularly in Shravasti, which you can see as the red triangle again there, and Rajgir, which is near Bodh Gaya. So both again places that we feature in our Viyatra journeys. And then ultimately he came to Kushinagar, where he left his body and attained and merged into Mahaparinirvana. In our Viyatra journeys, we also feature Nalanda, which is where there are the ruins of the famous Nalanda University, which for at least 1,000 years taught what the Buddha had taught. And then to Leh, right up on top of the map in Ladakh, which is really an extension of the Tibetan plateau. So these are places at which the Buddha's teachings are practiced with obviously quite a bit of vigor, quite a bit of zeal, and quite a bit of earnestness. So today's journey is focused on Sarnath, and Sarnath is near the ancient city of Varanasi, and that's where the wheel of Dhamma started to turn. I love that expression, the turning of the wheel of Dhamma. We have guides, tourist guides, professional tourist guides, standing by at various points of interest here, eagerly waiting to show you their part of the world and share some of their stories with you. Our guides have been sourced from Eightfold Travel Services, whose founders Akhilesh and Janendra will be on screen today. They're both highly experienced guides, and I'm very grateful, and I would like to acknowledge their efforts as well at putting together this Viyatra journey. Now, as most of the experience will be live, which is something I think that's unique, something that's we feel a real privilege. But do bear with us for any unexpected interruptions or bandwidth challenges. They do happen from time to time. The bandwidth in these places seems to be a bit like the weather. The clouds come and go. So if the bandwidth does play up, then we have some plan B options. But hopefully it holds well. It holds well today. Please also feel free to comment or post questions in the chat in the Zoom meeting. Our guides will happily answer your questions. We want this to be an interactive session. And lastly, also before we start, I'd like to again acknowledge the presence of some of the priests that we have from Japan who will be chanting for us through the journey. And I think that's just a wonderful way of experiencing the Buddha's life and legacy. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's now follow in the Buddha's footsteps. So we start with the majestic Chaukhandi Stupa, which you can see right there on your screen, which was built to mark the exact spot where the Buddha sought out his 5 companions who had abandoned him earlier in Bodh Gaya. So our virtual guide standing here at Chaukhandi Stupa is Nihal. Nihal ji, namaskar.
नमस्कार सर.
आप जरा कैमरे पे आ जाएं. Let's have a look. There you are. नमस्कार निहाल जी.
नमस्ते सर.
तो निहाल जी, आप चौखंडी स्तूप पे आप खड़े हैं. You're standing at Chaukhandi Stoop. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is I'll talk to Nihal ji in Hindi, and I'll interpret what he's saying in English. I have a bunch of questions. I'm happy to take your questions as well. तो निहाल जी, ये बताइए कि ये 5 साथी कौन थे बुद्ध के? Who were these 5 companions, और उन्होंने क्यों बुद्ध को छोड़ दिया था? Why had they abandoned him?
Actually, once Buddha was meditating under a banyan tree. That time he was looks like skinny due to a rigid meditation, and his 5 friends, ASAHI, Vap, Kaundilya, Bhaidei, and 5 companions over there, meditating behind the tree. And one lady, Sujata, came and offered rice pudding milk to the Prince Siddhartha, and Siddhartha accepted it. But his 5 friends has been misunderstood. Means Siddhartha accepted the rice pudding milk by the one lady who belongs from untouchable family. They thought Siddhartha never get enlightenment. And then they deserted him, and they came here, Sarnath, and started meditation here.
थैंक यू निहाल जी. आप हिंदी में बोलिए, मैं इंग्लिश में उसका अनुवाद कर दूंगा. लेकिन दैट्स अ गुड कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव रिस्पॉन्स. थैंक यू वेरी मच. तो निहाल जी, फिर ये बताइए कि जब वो बुद्ध से मिले फिर से यहाँ पर, तो उस समय फिर क्या हुआ? What happened when they saw the Buddha again, when he sought them out here?
जब वो इनलाइटनमेंट हो करके बोध गया से यहाँ सारनाथ के लिए आए, पहले जब उनको ज्ञान प्राप्ति हुई तो वो चाहते थे कि मैं अपने ज्ञान को अपने गुरु जी आशा को पहले दूं, जिनका नाम था श्री राम पूतक. तो लेकिन उनको पता चला कि वो उनका देहांत हो चुका है, और फिर उनके बाद उनको याद आया कि मेरे 5 शिष्य जो कि हमारे साथ पहले थे, तो पता किया उन्होंने, तो पता चला कि वो सारनाथ में इस समय मेडिटेशन कर रहे हैं. तब वो सारनाथ से यहाँ आए, अरे सर बोध गया से सारनाथ आए. तो यहाँ पे जब वो
निहाल जी जरा रुक जाइए, मैं ट्रांसलेट कर दूं उसको पहले जो आपने कहा है. So what Nihalji explained was that the Buddha actually had a teacher, had a revered teacher, along with his five companions. And when he had this experience of enlightenment and he discovered his middle path, he wanted to first come and explain that to his teacher. But by this time his teacher himself had passed. So he then found out that his five companions were in Sarnath, and they were practicing, they were doing their penances in Sarnath. And so he then sought them out. उसके बाद क्या हुआ, जब उन्होंने बुद्ध को देखा तो क्या हुआ? What
पहले
happened when they
वो
saw him?
पहले वो सोचे कि इनको ज्ञान मिली नहीं है, तो इनको हम लोग स्वागत नहीं करेंगे.
So they
कोई
thought
इनको
that
पूछेगा.
निहाल जी एक एक करके कहेंगे.
ठीक,
So
ठीक.
yes, so at first apparently they believed that he was still searching, so they thought to actually not acknowledge him.
जैसे जैसे वो बुद्ध करीब उनके आते गए, उनकी जो आभा मंडल थी उसको उन्होंने देखा, तो फाइनली उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि नहीं, इनको लग रहा है कि ज्ञान की प्राप्ति हो गई है, तो उनका उन्होंने काफी अच्छे से जो है कि वेलकम किया.
So when the Buddha approached them and when he came near, they actually felt and they saw the difference that was in him, and acknowledged the presence of the divinity in him, and acknowledged his status, his newfound status of the Buddha, and that's when they reconciled. तो निहाल जी ये बताइए कि हाउ डू वी नो, हमको कैसे पता कि यही वो जगह है? हाउ डू वी नो दिस इज द स्पॉट वेयर दे मेट?
जैसा कि हम लोग जानते हैं कि चाइनीज जो यात्री काफी फेमस हुए थे, वेन शियांग, जिनको बोलते हैं 7th सेंचुरी एडी में इंडिया में वो आए थे. उन्होंने नालंदा में स्टडी किया था और बुद्धिस्ट जगहों का उन्होंने विजिट किया था. तो उन्होंने जो डायरी लिखी थी उसमें इस प्लेस का मेंशन किया गया है, इस प्लेस को, कि यही वो जगह है जहाँ पे कि भगवान बुद्ध इनलाइटन होने के बाद अपने 5 शिष्यों से मिले थे.
So the Chinese pilgrim Huinsang, who came through in the 700 BC, 700 CE rather, so something like 800 years after the Buddha's passing, he apparently mentioned this place quite specifically in his diary, that this was the place where the Buddha met his five companions. और निहाल जी, एक और सवाल मेरा था कि ये स्तूप जो है ये क्या है और किसने बनवाया? What is the stoop and when was that built?
स्तूपा को जैसे कि हम एक बुद्धिस्ट मेमोरी मानते हैं. बुद्धिज्म में 4 तरह की स्तूपा होती है. पहला होता है कोमोमोरेटिव स्तूपा, दूसरा रेलिक्स स्तूपा, तीसरा वोटिव और चौथा पार्भौमिक. ये जिस स्तूपा पर चौखंडी पर हम खड़े हैं, ये कोमोमोरेटिव स्तूपा है.
So Nihal is explaining that so a stupa is essentially a Buddhist memory. So it's a marker to mark a significant place, and it was built by very many different kinds of people, and it was built with different motivations. And there are 4 different types of stupas. So there's one of them is a commemorative stupa. So this is that sort of stupa where somebody built it to commemorate an event, which is obviously the event we're describing.
Actually, this stupa was constructed in the 5th century AD by Guptas.
Acha, by the Gupta kings, right?
Ji.
Very nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, very happy to for you to ask them. You can ask them. You can unmute and ask them yourselves, or you can actually just post them in the chat. We can spend a little bit more time here. No questions so far. All right. What we might do is let you gather your thoughts. We've got a lovely experience here, which is we like to basically leave you with the visuals and just play some music so that you can just enjoy the serenity of this place. So Anuja, if you can please cue the music, and we might just mute Nihalji and the traffic noises. तो निहाल जी, आप बस स्तूप का थोड़ा विजुअल्स दिखा दीजिए प्लीज.
मुख मोड़ मोड़ मुस्कात जद 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 मोड़ मोड़ मुस्कात जद ऐसी छबीली नार कर सोला सिंगार ऐसी छबीली नार कर सोला सिंगार मुख मोड़ मोड़।
Markus, I believe we have a Professor Siddharth who might be able to say a few words about this place. Professor Siddharth, would you like to come online, please?
Hello, minasan, konnichiwa.
Namaste, Siddharth.
Namaste. Well, it's a great pleasure for me to be here while having virtual visit of Sarnath, which is very close to my heart, being a researcher and a student of Buddhism in Banaras Hindu University.
Very nice, Siddharth. So, would you like to? Is there some insight that
Yes.
you can share with us? That would be wonderful.
Well, certainly Sarnath was not known as Sarnath in the earliest Pali literature. It was known as Isi Patan Migdava. Sarnath is a very new name which was given by British archaeologist Alexander Cunningham. And Alexander Cunningham, when he excavated this place, he realized that this place has connection with a bodhisattva who is known as Saranganath, and at the same time, the place is associated with Lord Shiva too. So to reconcile or to avoid any kind of religious conflict, he chose that word which could be suited to both the religions, Buddhism as well as Hinduism. And that is why this Sarnath name came into existence. In the early Pali literature and Sanskrit literature, this name, as I mentioned, is this place is known as Isi Patan Migdav in Pali. And in Sanskrit, it is known as Rishi Patan Migdav. The meaning of both the words are same, means it is the deer park, as well as it is a place which is the abode of ascetics and sages of that time. And that is why Lord Buddha chose this place, which was very spiritual already in the contemporary times. And Lord Buddha realized that his 5 friends, companions are already present there by his spiritual power. He realized that he chose this place. This is one thing about Sarnath. About Chaukhandi Stoop, very interesting thing is about this structure. as you can see that at the bottom, it is the Buddhist structure. And at the top of the stupa, there's octagonal tower, which has 8 faces. And how it happened that when a Mughal king, Humayun, was defeated in a war by another king, Sher Shah Suri, and he was being chased by Sher Shah Suri. So he had taken shelter under this stupa. And in the future, when son of Mughal king Humayun, the great, very famous Mughal king Akbar, he became a very powerful king. Then to commemorate the refuge of his father, Humayun, under this Buddhist stupa, he gave order, and his minister, Todarmal, he erected this octagonal tower at the top of his stupa. So that is why, and this is a new thing relatively. It happened in 1568. So King Todarmal, on the order, on the instruction of great King Akbar, this Mughal structure was erected over the Buddhist stupa. So it is a confluence of the Mughal period. Architecture is confluence of Mughal period as well as Buddhist structure at the bottom.
Wonderful.
And as perhaps Mr. Nihal may have mentioned that this place commemorates the exact place where his 5 companions had received the Buddha. Another Dhammek Stupa is the place where Lord Buddha delivered his first teaching, which would come perhaps in the future, in the next few slides.
That's absolutely the next
place for the meeting of these two, Lord Buddha with his 5 companions who became his 5 disciples in the future.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm done with this.
Thank you, Sarnath. Yes.
In the future, if you want any insight for the future slides, I would be happy.
I will certainly count on you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your input there. Namaskar. That's a lovely segue, and that exactly is the next spot where we're heading, and you can see that on your screen. So it is the Dhammeka Stupa. In fact, the whole precinct is perhaps called the Deer Park. It's got many different names. People refer to it in different ways. I'm going to call it the Deer Park, and there's a story why it's called the Deer Park, which we'll hear shortly. It's a bit of a magical story, but here you are, serene visuals. And very much the spot from where, as it's said, the wheel of Dhamma started to turn, and this is the spot. It's about a half a kilometer from where we were before at Chaukhandi Stupa. So obviously Buddha met his 5 companions. They walked a little bit. They must have had a lot to catch up on, and they arrived at this particular spot. And this is where he basically shared with them what it was that he had discovered, the way of the middle path. So we have here Nilesh ji. Nilesh ji, namaskar.
नमस्कार सर.
Namaskar. Good to see you. कैसे हैं आप?
बहुत अच्छा. आप कैसे हैं? Thank you.
बढ़िया. Thank you very much, Nilesh ji. So Nilesh ji, tell us all what exactly are we seeing? What's that big structure that you were showing us before, and what's the whole precinct? क्या जगह है ये?
So we are standing at or inside the complex of Sarnath, which is one of the very important place as far as Buddhism is concerned. Because technically, if we say that this is the very place from where Buddha started, or a new faith on the face of earth has came into existence. So what you are seeing in front of me right now, the big structure, that is called Dhammik Stupa. And that is the place where Buddha sat and gave his first sermon to his first 5 companions.
So Nilesh, tell me, how do we know again that this is exactly that location? How are we so sure?
So as we have started from Chaukhandi Stupa, and Nihal ji has told you that there was a traveler, the Chinese traveler, as well as the Buddhist literature has had a mention of this very place about Buddha came and gave his first sermon after his enlightenment. So these are the sources through which we have come to know, as well as we have found out few structures in the sense, not only the structures, but also the pillar where we have some inscriptions are there, which has been decoded, and through which we came to know about this very place.
I think we can see remnants of that pillar. Would you show us, please? Would you walk up to that to where the pillar is?
So you can see the lady standing, and the gentleman is also standing there. So just behind that, we have a pillar. Just a second. So can you see that this
Thank
is
you.
the pillar which was erected by the great Ashoka in the 3rd century BCE, we call it. And this is the very place from where we have got our national emblem as well, because on top of this pillar, we have got the lion capital, which we will be seeing the image of it in some time from now.
Yes, indeed, we will. And so Nilesh, so basically, what we're looking at is the three broken up parts of one tall pillar, correct?
So it is 5 broken part of
5
one
parts.
tall pillar, and it was broken in somewhere around 1192 AD. When the first Muslim invasion took place in India in a big manner. That means from the northwest, they came interiors of the north part of India, and they have come here and they've destroyed this area as well.
And with the what are all these other structures that we see here? What was actually here?
So this was a monastery, and here the students used to practice Buddhism. There were some viharas or monasteries, as I said, where they used to live as well and practice Buddhism. That is what the idea of this very place is.
And it's a very large complex, isn't it? It's very much spread out.
It is very well spread out, and it has been said there are more than 1,500 monks used to live at one point of time. I might be wrong in the number, but there are traces, or there are literature which says that it was a big monastery at one point of time. Now what you see in front of me is another remains of a stupa which has been destroyed in the late 18th century by one of the ministers of local dynasty.
That's an intriguing story. Tell us more what happened there.
Okay, so this is what you see in front of me is another stupa which is called Dharmarajika stupa. It was basically a relic stupa of Buddha, and it has been said that around 792 AD or C, minister of the local dynasty came here for hunting the deers. Basically, it was, as I said, that this place was, as you said, sorry, that this place was very famous for the deer inhabitation. So he came here and he saw this beautiful structure around him, and he had a noble thought, rather, I would say. He said, what a waste of a brick. Why can't I use this brick to do something constructive in the city? So that was his motive, to take the brick from this very place, and he carried it to the city. And that is how we have lost one of the stupa.
So he came across
the Britishers were very much here.
He came across one of the most significant sites in world history, and he thought he might use it as a bit of a quarry as a kid.
Exactly. So basic idea was that when he was carrying the stones or the bricks, so he has been spotted by the British officers who were very much here, and they secretly followed him. They are the one who stopped him from dismantling the other one, what you're seeing right in front of us.
And this is the Sir Alexander Cunningham.
So that is how, from there onward.
Nilesh, this is...
It was before that, sir.
I see.
Because Alexander Cunningham was the curator. Basically, he was the excavator.
Okay.
So that is how the things moved from there onward. They came to know, they started studying this place, and later on, in many phases, the excavation took place at this very place.
I see. So really a happenstance, really, isn't it, that the place was then rediscovered after a long period of being neglected, and then found and then restored, I suppose, to whatever extent that it was possible. So Nilesh, I'd like to invite you to now walk towards the Dhammeka Stupa. And as we do that, I'd like to please invite Reverend Nobuyasu to please present a chant of the Buddha's teachings as we soak in these serene visuals and as we walk up to Dhammeka Stupa. Reverend Nobuyasu, please. Reverend Nobuyasu, please commence the chanting.
Buddhamu Saranamu Gacchami Uratam Dhammam Saranamu Gacchami Urasum Sangam Saranamu Gacchami 異物当願主上大下大道発無上異直営法当願主上準入教造知恵尿解直営層当願主上鳥大衆一切無下呵責所蔵諸悪号海遊無視頓人知重心苦一生生一切が今回懺悔大心ならにナムから堪能トラヤヤナムオリヤボリョキチチフラヤフジサトボヤモコサトボヤモコキャルニキャヤエンサラハンエシュンタンノトンシャナムシキリトイモリヤボリョキチシュラリントンボナムノラキンジキリモコホシャミサボ登場主弁護主因サボサトノモモギャモハテチョトジトエンオボリョギルギャチキャラチキモコ藤サトサボサボモラモラモキモイントインクリョクリョケモトリョトリョホジャヤチモコホジャヤチトラトラチリシブラヤシャロシャロモモハモラオチリユキユキシノシノプラサンクラシャリハザハザンクラシャヤクリョクモラクリョクリョキリシャロシャロシリシリキリヤクリヤクロヤクロヤミキリヤノラキンジキリシュリノ小屋物スモコシロヤスモコモコシロヤスモコひろゆきしゅらやそもこのらきそもこらのらそもこしらすおもぎゃやそもこそもこしろやそもこしゃきらおしろやそもこ子どもやしろやそもこのらきんじはぎゃらやそもこもほりしんやらやそもこナムから堪能トラヤヤナムオリヤボリョキチキクラヤソモコシテトモドラモドヤソモコ 皆さん、こんにちは。ナマステ。ディスカパインディアクラブでマルカスさんと一緒に日印交流を35年ぐらいしていまして、僧侶の、金子でございます。今日はですね、サルナート非常に懐かしくて私も何回か行っているんですが、非常にマルカスさん、また現地の説明で詳しい説明が来まして、私も認識を新たにできました。ブッダが初めて説法したということで、まさに仏法僧、三法と日本語でも言いますけれど、非常にインド、東アジア、南アジア、非常に大事な概念、考え方、また哲学としても大事です。仏教の非常に中心的なもので、大事な三法についての帰依するということで、2つの経、パーリー語のサンキーライモン、プーラープから始まるものと、それから、日本語で大神ダラニ、これも三法に敬し、立てまつるというお経でございますので、この2つを、読経させていただきました。仏教がいろいろつなげる力がありますので、世界のいろんな課題、またインドと日本、非常に幸せにするということをつなげることによってできますので、皆さんと一緒に進めてまいりたいと思います。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
どうもありがとうございます。Markus-san, you might have to put something in the
日
chat.
本語で失礼いたしました。
Markus-san, you might have to put something in the chat about what the Reverend said, maybe in English, or maybe somebody else can, if whoever can. We'd like to certainly understand what was said. So, thank you, Reverend Nobuyasu. We very much appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, then this is your time. Before we move along to our next destinations in Sarnath. Nilesh, मैं आपसे पूछना चाह रहा था. I wanted to ask you. I could see something flashing. Is it lightning? What's? I could see something flashing on the stupa. Was it just?
So it is a little bit of drizzling is taking place right now. I would say it's quite a beautiful weather. A bit humid though, but still, a breeze is there and a drizzle is happening. So that could be, you might have seen a lightning.
Sure. So, Siddharth, maybe I can invite you. We'd love to hear the deer story. Why is it called the Deer Park? So either yourself or Nilesh ji, or it's a lovely story from the Jatak Katha. So, Siddharth ji, would you do us the honors?
Well, thanks, Saurabh. Mr. Nilesh has very widely covered about the introduction of Dhammek Stupa. The story is this, that there's a Jataka story which is known as Nagrodh Mig Jataka in Pali collection of Jataka story. And it is said that the king of Banaras, whose name was Brahmadatta, he was fond of the deer's meat. And every day the meat of the deer, a deer was to be brought to his kitchen for preparation of the food. And the Bodhisattva was also born in the form of deer, female deer at that time. And it was in the female form, she was pregnant at that time. And I'm confused. I want to correct myself. In the male form, and at the same time, a female deer was selected for the preparation of the food for the king. And Bodhisattva deer, when he realized that a female deer is to be killed for the food of king, so Bodhisattva, out of compassion, he offered his own meat, his own killing, because the female deer had already pregnant with a child. And because of this, king was so impressed by the compassion of the Bodhisattva that he decided to quit the deer meat eating, and he gave an order to protect the entire zone as a reservoir or protectorate zone for the deers. And after that, this area became the deer park, where the killing of the deer was prohibited. And then it was, according to our legendary stories or mythological stories, Jataka stories, this area was called Migdav or Migdai in Sanskrit. So that is their story.
Wonderful. What a magical story.
The name of why this Jataka story is called Nyagrodh Mig Jataka, because the Bodhisattva deer's name was Nyagrodh at that time.
Ah, I see.
Yes.
I see. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a very insightful story.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Siddharthi, are you based in Varanasi as well right now? Are you?
No, I'm director of Indian Cultural Center at Embassy of India, Tokyo now.
In Tokyo, I see. I see. So you're getting a good virtual tour as well.
Yes.
Of familiar places. Good. All right. We'll move along, and if you don't have any other questions, ladies and gentlemen, so if you do, please post them in the chat. But our next destination, so we're moving away now from the really ancient, I think, monuments. We're now going to go to a place called Mulgandhakuti Vihar Temple. It's nearby. It's not far from where we were before, and we have Jainendraji. Namaskar, Jainendraji. Looking good.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. So, Jainendraji, tell us, please, what is this temple? Where was what are you seeing? Where are you standing? Kahan khade hain, bataiye.
The complex is known as Mulgandhakuti Vihar, which used to be the ancient name of the main temple of Sarnath. And later on, a replica was built in 1931, which I'm going to show you now. And that was, it is called as a replica of the ancient Mulgandhakuti Vihara. And nearby, another small complex you can see on my camera, which is a Bodhi tree, came from Sri Lanka, but originally originated to the main Bodhi tree under which Buddha got enlightened in 6th century BC. And later on in 3rd century BC, the daughter of mighty king Ashoka, Sanghamitra, took a sapling from the original tree of Buddha Gaya to Anuradhapura, a holy city in northern Sri Lanka. And later on, much later, when this temple was being built in 1931 by a renowned monk of Sri Lanka, Angakarika Dharampal, another sapling from that tree, you can see the 3rd generation, was again planted here in this very complex, which I'm showing you, and under which you can see Buddha with his first 5 disciples sitting. And the first sermon of Buddha, the 4 noble truths have been translated. If you can see all these plates, with the black granite plates in many Asiatic languages like Tibetan, Korean.
Oh, I see. So each block has a different language, is it?
Yeah, each block has a different language, and this is to facilitate all the Buddhist pilgrims who travel from so many Asian countries, thousands of kilometers,
yes,
to this holy place.
Wonderful. In fact, on that point, I think if you proceed inside, Jainendraji, we obviously there's a wonderful depiction of the Buddha's life in painting that was done by a Japanese artist, Nosu Kosetsu-san. And
on my way, you can see a big bell.
Yes.
Just between by the palm trees, which was donated by a group of Tibetan people in Germany. And then I would like to show you another bell right in the entrance of this temple. Just hold a few seconds.
Yes, we're enjoying the visuals. You can take your time. You don't have to rush.
There are so many locals.
Yes. It's good to see a slice.
Was under lockdown for many months, so now people have been coming out.
A good slice of life.
Yes, and show you the main gate also, where they are coming from.
So that's the pathway from the main gate, I assume.
And in fact, you see the gathering of people. So many groups coming from nearby towns and cities. And on the next side of me, I can show you a little bit of Dhameka Stupa right behind these woods.
Oh, yes, yes, we can make out the structure right there. Yes, correct.
And
So
now
it's again not
moving
far.
towards the bell donated by Japan to this temple. Can you see that?
Yes, yes, we can. Yes, and I think it's got some kanji written on it.
And you can see the Japanese characters also inscribed on the bell on the outer
Absolutely.
wall.
Markus ji, perhaps you could tell us what it says. If you could maybe put it in the chat, Markus ji, and a translation of what it says on the bell. That would be nice.
With a special entering the temple. Usually it is not allowed to the people. And here they're very nicely depicted by a Japanese painter, Kosetsu Nosu. Depiction of life story of Buddha starting from his birth, Prince Siddhartha.
Yes. Yes, we can see. Yes, we can see Mahamaya Devi, and we can see the
Devi and the white elephant coming to her dream.
Yes.
Now Siddhartha taking birth and right on way to her parental home.
Absolutely.
And 7
That's
lotus
Lumbini, and
flowers
then
blooming up on the spot which he is taking the steps.
and this is the Buddha leaving. Is it? Is that him leaving?
Buddha leaving, announcing the material life. Buddha seated under the banyan tree and is meeting with the famous lady Sujata.
Sujata, yes.
Milk rice pudding, and his 5 companions looking at him aggressively, thinking that
That's right.
Siddhartha is corrupted now.
Yes.
Since he has found a beautiful lady, as Siddhartha had enjoyed the royal life with a lot of luxuries, so he can't tolerate these, austerity practices with us. Let us leave him and let us move toward the famous holy city of Varanasi, then was Kashi. But they did not realize that Siddhartha had found something very precious, which was the middle path.
That's
So
it.
the conversation with Sujata and the musical instrument, which is called veena, the most ancient instrument with the string. As she told him that Siddhartha, this way of practices, austerities, are going to lead you to death, and after death, there is no way you will get enlightened. So let us take an example of veena. The strings of veena must not be very loose, neither very tight. Tightening will make it broken and no music will come out. The same thing is with our life. You should follow the middle path if you really want to get enlightened. So
Wonderful.
finally, he changed the format, and in this fresco, you can see how the invasion of Mara. And he is just stable, seated in his meditation. And
Jayendraji, he sat as Gautam the monk, and he got up as Buddha, the enlightened one.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's an inspiring story for the ages, I think.
After he got enlightened under Bodhi tree, he remained there for another 49 days. It means 7 weeks just to refine all his knowledge, all his experience he had got before moving towards Varanasi. And one of the spots was where he had, I can say, visualized Pratitya Samutpad, the concept of cause and effect. And one more spot was where he was first time he was offered something by 2 merchant brothers of Myanmar who were on their way, and they had found him. So as Mr. Nihal Singh was telling about how the first 5 disciples, his 5 friends, who at first sight they did not recognize him as an enlightened person, but as soon as he came closer, they were affected by the radiation of his aura, you can say, his enlightenment. Same thing happened with the 2 merchant brothers. So they came and they offered us spontaneously some food cooked by their mother. But Buddha said to them that, my dear friends, I have nothing to give you in return. only thing I can give you are my 2 hairs. It is believed that those 2 hairs are the first relics of him kept in Mandale, probably in Myanmar. Well, to pass the other spots.
Yeah, well, Janerji, we might have to just move along to the statue itself because we've discussed Sarnath and how
Fortunately,
beautiful.
there is one.
I think at this point, Janerji, we'll request Reverend Wakawami to please present a chant of the Buddha's teachings as we soak in the visuals of this beautiful place. I think the Reverend is associated with the temple.
You don't need to talk to the chief priest here in this temple also.
Yes, we'll do that after the
よろ
chant.
しいでしょうか。お経を上げさせていただきます。
はい。
法人人未妙法百千万語南宋具過根検問徳十字願下如来真実にわかはんにゃはらみたしんにょ漢字在菩薩行人般若はらみたじ証券語文化育道一切区役者理士式不意空空不意式式即税空空即税式重創業式薬部尿税者利子税商法空想不傷不滅不空不上不増不減税国中無式無重創業式無限に微絶心に無式証拠未速報無限界内し無意識界無無明薬無無明人内視無老死薬無老死人無苦種滅道無知薬無得意無償特攻菩提サッタエハンニャハラミタコ心無形下無形下公無具不恩一切天道無足教内反三税小仏般若波羅蜜多高徳阿耨多羅三脈三宝大高知般若波羅蜜多税大臣衆税大名衆税無常衆税無東道衆農場一切区真実不公公説般若波羅蜜多収束説収圧行定行定波羅行定波そう行定菩提スワカ般若心経ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました、若見さん。 Thank you very much. Jananji, I believe we have the priest as well at the temple that with whom we can have a brief chat. Namaskar, Bante.
नमस्कार।
नमस्ते नमस्ते
Namaskar, Bante.
कैसा है?
We are very privileged. मैं आपसे हिंदी में बात करूँ इंग्लिश में? What would work best? I missed that. Sorry. हिंदी में?
हाँ ठीक है इससे बात करिए।
अच्छा, तो पहले तो आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आपने हमको यहाँ पर आने दिया। अगर आप हम ऑब्वियसली हम वर्चुअल एक तरीके से लोगों को दिखाना चाह रहे हैं कि जो सारनाथ की जगह जो ब्लेसिंग है जो जो कि अभी लोग खुद जाकर के महसूस नहीं कर पाते हैं, अनुभव नहीं कर पाते हैं। तो आप अगर आप आशीर्वाद दे दें हम सबको, एक बुद्ध की वाणी कुछ बता दें तो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा।
ठीक है, सबका नमो बुद्धाय। ये सबको स्वागत है। ये सारनाथ बहुत पवित्र जगह है। सारनाथ में तथागत बुद्ध ने पंचवग भिक्षु के लिए अपना पहला प्रवचन दिया है, जो इसलिए विश्व में बौद्ध लोग के लिए, बौद्ध अन्यायियों के लिए सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जगह है सारनाथ में। इसलिए भगवान बुद्ध ने उनका पहला प्रवचन धम्मचक्र प्रवर्तन सूत्र दिया है, देशना किया है। और उसके बाद ये नया मूलगंध कुट विहार है, ये महाबोधि सोसाइटी ऑफ द्वारा स्थापन किया गया है। इसके भगवान बुद्ध का जो अवशेष है शरीर का, वो रखने के लिए, सुरक्षा के लिए ये मंदिर बनाया है। इसलिए हम लोग को हर साल में एक बार ये भगवान बुद्ध का अस्थि प्रदर्शन करता है पब्लिक के लिए। लेकिन कोरोना के कारण 2 साल लगभग हम लोग को कुछ नहीं हुआ, लेकिन विदेश से जो आने वाला यात्री लोग नहीं हुआ है। इसलिए हम लोग को सबसे पहले हम पवित्र धरती सारनाथ में बैठ के विश्व में प्रार्थना करूँगा, ये महामारी कोरोना रोग और जल्दी से जल्दी खत्म होके फिर हमारा देश के लिए, विश्व के लिए, पूरा विश्व में शांति के लिए हम लोग को प्रार्थना करेंगे।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद बनते। It's a real pleasure, it's a real privilege for us to have this blessing and have this visual of the beautiful statue of the Buddha in the Mulgandakuti Vihar temple. I'm really grateful to you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jainendraji. That was a very nice, comprehensive tour of the Mulgandakuti Vihar temple.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we might move along to our next destination. It's actually another temple. It's the Nichigatsu Horinji, which is a temple that was built by Japanese benefactors. Now, the wonderful thing about Sarnath is that what the Buddha started here, really reverberated around the world. His simple and practical teachings of the middle path were spread far wide across the Indian subcontinent, into Tibet, Southeast Asia, China, Korea, and Japan. And we'd just like to show you some of the present day monuments, I think, to that teaching. So we are here at Nichigatsu Horinji. It's a beautiful Japanese temple, and we have here Akhilesh ji, आप हैं कि राजेंद्र जी हैं?
मैं हूँ यहाँ पे।
Yes. Would you like to come on screen if you can?
Hello, namaste.
Namaste, Akhilesh ji. Can we see you first? Oh, there you go.
Yes, sir. Sir, raining, so I'm under umbrella.
Wonderful. Thank you, Akhilesh ji. Good to have your company.
Thank you, sir.
So Akhilesh ji, we have here obviously a beautiful temple. If you want to please proceed and show us a little bit of the inside, And then
Okay.
if we have Reverend Ito, Reverend Ito might come on screen.
आप उनको बुलाइए.
Reverend Ito, welcome back.
Yes.
नमस्कार, स्वागत है आपका फिर
नमस्कार.
से.
नमस्कार.
अभी आपके मंदिर में हम लोग भ्रमण कर रहे हैं थोड़ा
पहुंच
सा.
गए ना?
पहुंच गए हैं, जी हाँ. We are
Yeah.
at the temple and
करजान.
अखिलेश जी, मे बी पहले वो मूर्ति दिखा दीजिए. हाँ, आई थिंक आई कैन सी दैट somewhere else. We'll just add that to the spotlight. Here we go. So we might just remove this one from the spotlight. Here we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. तो ईतो जी, आप ये बताएं हमें कि ये जो बुद्ध की मूर्ति है वहां पर, वो लेटी हुई मूर्ति है, तो
हाँ, लेटे हुए वो मूर्ति है.
वो क्यों है, वो ऐसा क्यों है?
It is called नेहाम्बुत्सु. नेहाम्बुत्सु. हाँ.
नेहान बुद्ध.
जो कुशीनगर में वो स्वर्गवास हो गए हैं.
Yes.
तो उसकी मूर्ति है.
So yeah, Reverend Ito is saying that the Buddha, the statue. Can you show us the statue again, please? The Buddha that was lying. We're getting a bit of noise from somewhere, so I might just mute that. Yes. Akhilesh ji, could you please show us the lying down Buddha? There we go. And Reverend Ito was explaining that is the posture in which the Buddha left his body at Kushinagar. And so that is the event that is being commemorated by that particular statue. Reverend Ito, if you could please please lead us into a chant. That would be most wonderful.
実在に言子無能石膏もが薬異生物食原者異凡部天道実在に言滅条件が公認小教指針法律弱合欲打王悪道中華上智修上行道不行道王将可動異性主従法毎時差税ね異我領修上特入無常不上十部死ナム妙法蓮華経ナム妙法蓮華経ナム妙法蓮華経妙法蓮華経ナム妙法蓮華経ナム妙法蓮華経妙法蓮華経荻根学馬三宝伏して召喚を垂れたまえ現在未曾有の大変化の中にある私たちは再び自然界と人類社会とに調和が取り戻されていくことを祈ります。仏様の大慈悲ご加護が生きとし生きるすべての者たちにあまねく満たされていくことを祈ります。断命介護陸徳楽出利生寺正大菩提座法蓮華上等小学妙法教力即身成仏願くばこの功徳をもってあまねく一切に及ばし我らと主上と皆共に仏道上善アスマカマヌカンパルタンパリブンジャヴィナヤカヤンチャサルバサトワスチャアグランボーディンスプリシェマヒナム妙法蓮華経主上無変性願度煩悩無種性願断訪問無人性願知仏道無常性願上ナム妙法蓮華経ナム妙法蓮華経ナム妙法蓮華経
रेवरेंडितो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका।
एक मिनट日月山法輪寺は私の師匠であります故佐々木北条佐々木明星によって建設され1992年落慶開土いたしました。サールナートという聖地での土地の取得や建物の建設にあたってはモンゴル大使を長く務められた故クショク・バクラ・リンポチェをはじめとしてインドに最初にオブシャリ島をラージギール大社城に建設されました日本山妙法寺御三種藤井日達芸家や日本山妙法寺のお弟子様の皆様や日本でご支援くださった方々からの多大なるご助力ご支援をいただきました。再び世界が調和を取り戻し交流が復活しましたらぜひ皆様改めて仏石巡礼をされブッダのご意向に触れ、次の新しい時代に私たちは何をすべきかじっくり考えましょう。本日はオンラインでのご参詣ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございます。
日月山法輪寺 temple was built by the late Hojo Sasaki and Myojo Sasaki, who are my masters. The temple opened in 1992 for the acquisition of land and the construction of buildings in the sanctuary of Holy Sarnath. Late Kshok Bakura Rinpoche, who served as Indian ambassador to Mongolia for a long time. Most Venerable Nichidatsu Fuji, the founder of Nipponza Myohoji, who constructed the stupa in Rajgir, Bihar, and his disciples greatly supported for my master's activity. When the world regains the great harmony and great recovery after present difficulties, everyone please welcome back to the Buddha's holy places in India for pilgrimage and touch the majesty of the Buddha and think carefully about our future and next new era after difficulties. Thank you for visiting our temple Nichizugatsuzan Horinji Sarnath online today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Namaskar. That was beautiful. Thank you very much. That was much appreciated. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we
Thank
will
you.
go to our next destination. I think now we're running out of time a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to actually move to a location near the Ganga, because we are actually, after all, in Varanasi. And why not have a darshan of the Ganga River, of the sacred Ganga River, that flows down from high in the Himalayas, 800 kilometers away. There you go, another holy site for everyone. And goes on to flow another 1,000 kilometers from here to its final destination in the Bay of Bengal. We have Alokji, right? Alokji, namaskar.
नमस्ते सर.
Namaste, namaste. कैसे हैं आप?
बढ़िया सर.
Excellent. So Alok ji, you're standing at the आप एक कुमिको सान के बालकनी पे खड़े हैं ना आप? What's
के छत पे.
हाँ. So Kumiko san is a Japanese lady, a fairly well-known Japanese lady in Varanasi. Would you tell us a little bit about her story, Alok ji?
Actually, it is a story of a true love that you can say. She was a very young lady living in Japan, and she had no interest in coming to India either as a tourist, or she had no interest in Hindu philosophy as well. But an Indian guy who was actually from Varanasi, who was living in Japan, she got in love with him, and they married together over there in Japan. And she came back with her husband right here in Varanasi about 40 years ago. And then both of them started to live together here on a house which is just on the bank of the Ganges. But a few years back, the husband died, and now she is living with her only son in this house. And she has adapted to the culture of Varanasi. She took care of the parents of her husband very well. And now she loved eating the foods of Varanasi, local foods. She talks in Bengali language, she talks in Hindi language and Japanese as well. So this is how she has adapted very well in the culture of the local Varanasi.
Wonderful. Is she about, or has she gone back down?
She has got back down. Yeah.
She has gone back down. Yes, no problem. So
what drizzling here, so that's why.
Yes, I can see that. So what we might do, Alokji, is we might just leave our audience with the spectacular visuals of the Ganga that you're showing us. And I think, Anuja, let's cue some music. We've been missing the music for a while. So ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much again, Alokji. So Mother Ganga, Ma Ganga, right there for you. Alokji will show us around. And Anuja, if you can cue the music, let's just enjoy that for the next few minutes. How wonderful. I trust you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. I certainly did. I have such deep reverence for this river. Every time I see it, it just does something for me. आलोक जी, ये बताइए कि it's flowing quite fast. We can see the debris, we can see the silt coming through. Is it normally that fast? Alok ji, can you hear me?
So it is flowing very fast because it is very high on a very high level right now, and we are expecting it to the level to be a bit high, more high in a few days.
If you can show us back that house that you were showing us before, how far up? How what's the normal level on that house?
It's almost half to the level that you can see right now.
Whoa, I see. Right. Well, let's pray that it goes down, because as much as we love the Ganga, we don't want to see any flooding. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Alokji. I really appreciate that. You did very well with this. Thank you. We really enjoyed that.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's move along. And we will now, we're coming to the end of our journey anyway. We wanted to show you one more thing, which was the Sarnath Museum. And the reason, now the issue, of course, is that photography is not allowed inside the Sarnath Museum. So we just have some slideshows, and the reason we want to show you is that there are two iconic pieces of art that are curated in that museum. One is the Dharmachakra Pravartana Buddha, the magnificent specimen of the Buddha statue from the Gupta period. That's a Buddha is depicted teaching in the lotus position whilst making the his famous mudra. And the other one is the capital, the lion capital that was mentioned before. So Anuja, I think if you can just cue the slideshow and maybe run through the slides. We might just talk through it very quickly. There you go, that perching Buddha, yes, that's the... actually, if you go back to that, please, Anuja, so let's just soak in that. There we go. Just a beautiful, beautiful specimen of the art of that time. Thank you, Anuja. Yes, next one. So Bodhisattva, one of the people, obviously, who was a disciple of the Buddha. And the next one again. Tara, she's mentioned obviously quite a bit in Buddhist literature. Yep, keep going. And there we go, the lion capital, the famous lion capital. So that was the capital that stood on top of the pillar that we saw in Dhammeka Stupa, near Dhammeka Stupa in the deer park. And it's just a magnificent specimen. It's obviously now it's the real thing. And it's been restored somewhat. But it's the emblem of the Indian central government. So that's how important it is, I think, for certainly for contemporary India. And you can see the chakra, the Dharma chakra, which takes pride of place in the middle of the Indian flag. So I think the people who designed these for the Indian government, I think, did so with quite some thought. Thank you, Anuja. And next one. The lotus umbrella of the Bodhisattva. So this is there was an umbrella that the Bodhisattva was holding up that obviously had fallen off, and this is that. It's obviously quite a big structure. Yes, and the next one, the wheel of the lion capital. Again, something that was actually on top of the capital. Thank you. Yes, exactly, as you can see. So there was the pillar, the shaft, as you can see there, which is where we saw that was broken into 5 pieces. And then we've seen the capital that stood on top of that, and then the wheel that actually was perched on top of that again. So, quite an elaborate structure. It must have looked quite magnificent. Thank you, Anuja. I think that's the last slide I believe we have.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has just hit 4 o'clock, and we're just coming to the end of our program. I'd like to just invite Padmini Brahmaji. She's the director of India Tourism in Japan, to please come on screen and say a few words. Certainly, if you could please share your impression of what you've experienced today. That would be most wonderful.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. Actually, I was not ready to come online, but I really enjoyed this program, and it was really enlightening for me. And I can really see the view of the Ganges, which is really going so much high at this flowing so much in height. So I hope the city of Varanasi, in good healthy condition in spite of this rising level of the water. But come back to the program. Yes, it is a very well arranged program, and it is very nice. Thank you, Mr. Markus, for inviting me to join this program. And I thoroughly enjoyed, and I hope that much more such programs will be coming in future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
Padmaji, we're planning to do a fortnightly run. So,
okay.
The destinations that we showed, we actually plan to be there once every fortnight. So,
okay.
Certainly, I'd love to. My request is on behalf of the Viyatra team that please spread the word. Padmaji, yourself, as well as all those who have attended today. I think it's just a wonderful experience, and we can't experience this right now with all the lockdowns and restrictions.
Yes, of course. Yes. Thank you so much. Hope to see you all again, and much more such programs on the way, I hope, the way you have mentioned. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Padmaji.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call it an official end to the program. It's 2 minutes past our allocated time. But what I'd like to do is now open up to you. If you have any questions, if you have any observations, perhaps Markus ji, if you can come back into our main room, let's disable the interpretation room, and we can all come back and just have a good chat now. We're done with the official part of the journey. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, before I do call it that official end, I'd like to just remind you that we'll be sending a survey via email. So please do respond to that. Please do let us know what worked well, what didn't work well. And yes, please keep an eye out for all the next journeys that we've got lined up. We have obviously mystical Ganga as well. Apart from in Buddha's footsteps, we do a full view of the Ganga from Gangotri in the Himalayas down to Varanasi. That's a very engrossing, engaging journey as well. And then we're doing a new one, which is enchanting Krishna. Where we'll show the locations associated, the places associated with Krishna's life and legacy, in ways we've done with the Buddha. So over to you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your company. I really, truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think we can disable the interpretation. Markus ji, I think you're back with us.
Now can I come?
Yes, you're back with us. Yes.
OK。ありがとうございます。今、多分外で聞こえると思います。それで、ガンジェス川のミスティカルガンガというプログラムもありますので、それを見ててくださいね。
自分でやるとこういうのね。ちょっと待って。
それで皆さんの物席のところは私たちは用意してます。今日はいろんな人たちが参加しました。これからオープンです。何か質問があればどうぞ連絡してください。直接手を挙げてください。話してください。マリック先生、新井先生、I can see、マルタ先生、どうぞ何か言いたいこと、増田先生もいらっしゃいますね。
Well, I must say that to have Professor Siddharth Singh and Mr. Kaneko and Mr. Ito on the program was really wonderful. And at my age, it's impossible to go around and see those places. So thank you very much for organizing. And I'll be following all your programs in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. どうぞ。新井先生、はい、どうぞ。
すいません。もう非常に感動いたしました。回を重ねるごとにね、
素晴らしいメッセージが伝わってきて、特にたくさんのお坊様方が今日という日にね、お経をあげていただいたこと、大変嬉しく思っています。先ほど伊藤先生がね、佐々木先生の絵のことをおっしゃって、でブッダガヤでね、お釈迦様が修行されている時にいろいろな、マルカスが台風があったり、いろいろな試練を乗り越えて悟りを開かれたと。そしてその悟りを開かれるのが、向こうに行ってもいろいろ勉強させていただいたんですが、多分その時にね、今のコロナのようなね、そういう病気もいろいろ蔓延している、そういうことも悟りとして開かれたんと違うかなと。そうすると今回のこのコロナっていうのは大きなその試練で、そこから終わった時に私たちはリボーンで生まれ変わって何か新しい世の中にならないといけないんじゃないかということを先ほど伊藤先生のお経の後のお話を聞いて心を新たにしたわけです。そして今日はですね、新月なんですね。仏教の中でお月様がどういう意味を持っているっていうのはまだ勉強してませんが、陰陽道という神道の中でね、日本では、新月に願い事を込めると非常に叶えられると、満月に向かって念願成就していくっていう教えがあるんです。今日こそ新月でライオンゲートで、それこそ世界中の皆さんが、インドに向かってお釈迦様の道に向かって手を合わせる、祈りをするっていうことが、平和のメッセージになるんじゃないかと。私お坊さんでもないんですが、オリンピック大変なことになってますけれども、今からお釈迦様2500年とすると、それより以前の300年前にギリシャでオリンピックが始まってるわけです。だから平和ということをもう一度考える上にも、祈りということがね、大切であると。そしてそれの祈りの私たちの原点はインドであるということを改めて今日祈りを捧げていただいた、お経をあげてくださったお坊様たちに私は知らせていただきました。私は鹿がいる奈良公園のある奈良で住んでおります。合唱団のみんなと祈りと一緒に祈りを込めて平和のメッセージを歌声で世界に発信しているもの、新井敦子でございまして、決して怪しいものじゃございません。そんなので非常に今日は新月ですので、心を新たにして後ろにいる、最高年齢はこの方92歳でございます。インドにいて、そうそう、インドで92歳で言ったらもうみんなびっくりされる。もうでもみんな高齢者、平均年齢80で平和のメッセージをインドに向かってインドに向かって手を合わせています。ごめんなさい、普段は無口なんですが、よくしゃべる新井でした。
Do you need translation? Do you need translation, sir? Saurabh?
No, I got most of it actually. I got most of it. Thank you.
Thank you. She said that I speak very little. मैं अपना मुंह नहीं खोलती हूँ. Arigato. Thank you very much. Masda-san. Masda sensei. Yes. 聞こえない。オンしてください。
今日はだいぶしゃべる。
今日は本当に。She's a very famous speaker in Japan. नहीं, आवाज नहीं आ रहा है. Sound?
We just need to unmute her. So where is she?
Can you Masuda?
Matsuda. I'll have to look up the kanji. Yeah, I think I found
ये है नीचे से ऊपर.
Yeah. Here we go. Yes.
Okay. 大丈夫
どうも今日はありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
先ほどチャットに書きました。ガンジスの流れを見てましたら涙が出てしまってそして伊藤先生の素晴らしいお経と佐々木先生ご夫婦のありし日の姿が思い浮かべて本当にありがとうございました。いながらにしてインドを旅してまいりましたし、懐かしい方たちの思い出に今日は合わせていただきまして感謝します。これからもよろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you very much. And actually, she has already mentioned in the chat that she was very happy to see Ganges River this time, and that she knows those two, Sasaki, that couple of that temple, and she was very happy to hear those stories through Mr. Ito. She's very happy to see again the Buddhist places because it is a Corona period, we cannot go, but thankful that we could visit today. Thank you very much.
How wonderful. All right, Markus, maybe if we could ask one of the reverends to please share their own thoughts of how they felt.
Wakaumi Sensei, 何か一言いかがですか? He's the priest Wakaumi.
Yes.
本日は参加させていただきまして誠にありがとうございました。私は今回参加させていただいたご縁は先日インド大使館で、書店法輪寺にその壁画を描かれたノース・コーセス先生のイベントがございまして、その時に私もスピーカーの一人として講演させていただいたというようなことがございました。それは実はノース先生はですね、晩年長野でお住まいでございまして、善光寺の雲上殿という納骨堂なんですが、こちらに壁画を残されておられます。そのようなご縁で、この間、インド大使館でのお話をさせていただいたというようなことでございました。そのご縁が今回つながりまして、書店法輪寺で、お経を唱えさせていただくというような、バーチャルですけど、オンラインですけども、お経を唱えさせていただくというようなことがありまして、非常に光栄なことだったというふうに思います。本当に一番最後のガンジス川の流れに、仏教の諸行無常というものがですね、本当にしみるように感じた次第でございます。今日はこういった素晴らしい会に参加させていただきまして、誠にありがとうございました。
Actually, he was invited in that recent lecture at the embassy. Wakaumi Sensei is from Zenkoji in Nagano. The priest who has written that painted there, Nosu Sensei, is from that temple and from that area, from Nagano. So he was so lucky, he is so happy to give that prayer at this place. And just because just last week only we had this function in embassy, and because of that he was here today. And I'm so happy that he accepted and he gave this prayer today. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimashita.
So Markus-ji, could you please just request from on my behalf to the certainly the reverends that we would love to basically figure out how to make this offering available to their community. How do we engage their community? So I think if we could have a discussion afterwards, that would be really good.
こちらからの希望としては、日本の方々、このようなお寺の方々、どうぞ皆さん考えてください。どのようにこの時期にこのようなプログラムは大勢の人たちに伝えるようにできたら一番いいかなと思います。私たちは頑張って今見たでしょ、いろいろなところで外資さんとかそれが誰も仕事がないんです。だからこれで仕事ももちろんですけど、皆さんにこのようにバーチャルでオンラインのところで皆さんを紹介したいので、どうぞぜひこれからも他の方々にもこれを伝えてください。
Markus-san, we can accommodate 300 people on one meeting. So I'd love to see a 300-person meeting next one.
このようなオンラインを使いますと、1回に300人ぐらいはこれに参加できますので、ぜひこれで皆さんの気持ちを一緒になって、これを大勢の人たちに見せたいと思っています。
Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if there's nothing else, we'll wrap up there.
あとどなたかよろしいですか？もう皆さんは、私は見てますと、宮原さん、よろしいですか？丸田さん。Okay, do our hand, Vesebi. Let me see if they would like to say.
Sure, yes, please. Yes, bring them on.
宮原さん。
宮原です。
Okay.
マルカスさん、どうもありがとうございます。
日清協会生、インドジャパンアソシエーション生。
Spotlight, just one second.
先ほど若海住職がお話しされてましたノース公設画伯の壁画の修復プロジェクトのお手伝いをさせていただいてます。今ちょっとメッセージで 脳巣構設の壁画修復プロジェクトの関係のホームページのご紹介しようと思ってます。本当に今日はありがとうございました。ガンガの、流れを見て本当にかなり増水しているということでしたけれども、何か心が洗われる気持ちになりました。ありがとうございました。
He is actually from Indo-Japan Association, and in many places we are connected. And he is actually assisting Wakaomi Sensei, and together we are doing for this project of Nosu Sensei of this one. He was so happy to see Ganges Gawa today, and would like to continue again. Thank you very much. どうも、宮原さん、ありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
あとどなたか、丸田様も何か一言言いますか？OK。
どうもこんにちは。今日はありがとうございました。
丸田、何名か？
丸田です。
はい、どうも。
今日はありがとうございました。素晴らしいツアーをさせていただきました。私あんまり海外は行きたいと思わないんですけども、行きたい国はやっぱりインドですね。で、ここでまたインドの食べ物とか踊りとかをまた見せていただければ、またさらに楽しくなるんではないかと思いました。ありがとうございます。
He says that I don't want to travel any other country, but would like to travel once at least to India. But if you can show us more about India like this, maybe dance or something, that would be very enjoyable for us. Thank you very much, Markus-san. Arigatou gozaimashita. Okay.
Thank you very much. So, Markus-ji, we'll probably end the meeting there. Thank you again. And Markus-ji, can I just take the opportunity to thank all of our guides? Can we maybe just unmute ourselves wherever possible and just give a round of applause to the guides?
皆さん、ガイさんたちにはお礼を言いたいので、アンミュートしてどうぞ握手してください、クラップしてください、皆さんのために。Thank you, everybody.
I think
本当にありがとうございました。
all the guides did absolutely wonderful today. I think it was very smooth.
And we would like to say
so
thanks
thank you.
to Anuja-san also. Anuja-san, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Can you come? Anuja-san is next. Okay.
Anuja, yes, there we go. Yes, there you go. Well done.
Thank you. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Well done behind the scenes. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Anuja-san 動いてます。Okay.
So, namaste everyone. Good night. Good evening rather, and good night.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Arigatou gozaimasu.